Good afternoon/evening in the next 5 minutes, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel, where today we're going to be talking about the latest news that's just came out of the club. Another day, another contract renewal, you could say. Yesterday it was Kyogo Furuhashi. Today it is Daizen Maeda. Two Japanese signings have both extended their stay for the next 4 years. I believe the two of them have 4-year deals. Tony, how are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about this contract renewal?
Kind of the Brendan Rodgers effect for you, didn't we? We spoke about it, that I think most players would want to play under Brendan Rodgers, wouldn't they? We've obviously heard what we had to say. Joe Hart was speaking very highly of him earlier on today, wasn't he? And also Matt O'Reilly speaking very highly of him. So I guess these guys have been asked a question. They've committed themselves to the club for 4 years. I guess it's one of those ones, isn't it, that it safeguards everybody, doesn't it? Again, if someone tries to come and pluck one of your prized assets, Ryan, going to have to pay for them. And another declaration of loyalty from a footballer to commit himself to another 4 years. Whether he's there for 4 years, I mean, we'll debate that in 4 years' time, or whatever the duration, as long as he stays. But I think Maida is somebody that Brendan Rodgers can get his claws into, can't he? And Harry Kewell will also be able to get his claws into, make him more productive, because I think the one major flaw in Maida's makeup was his crossing, wasn't it? And I think if he can sharpen up on that and create more opportunities from the wide areas with his actual crossing ability, then you'll have a real wonderful asset there, because he's proved that he can score goals. Scored a wonderful goal at Ibrox, scored a wonderful goal at Easter Road. He's really, really quick. I think he's a player that Brendan Rodgers feels he can mould and shape into something going forward. And clearly there's been a kind of reciprocal with the message there, with Maida also committing himself to 4 years alongside his compatriot Kyogo Furuhashi. So what is it they say? Good news week, Ryan, at Celtic, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. It's I think it's welcome news. Wee bit surprising, I would say, because he was one of the players that I thought maybe would have not maybe joined Dan Postecoglou down at Spurs. I don't know if he's maybe at that level, but I was wondering if how the new manager was going to feel about Daizen Maeda, but it certainly seems as if he wants to work with him. I'm just going to read some of the statement that came out roughly about 25 minutes ago regarding Daizen Maeda. So it says, hot on the heels of the news that Kyogo has signed a new deal with the club, his fellow countryman Daizen Maeda has also signed a new Celtic contract until June 2027. The speedy goal-scoring and goal-making winger with burning pace joined from Yokohama F. Marinos and took only 4 minutes to score his first goal in his first game against Hibernian in January 2022. Some quotes from Daizen himself. He says, Celtic is it is a very happy moment for me and my family. Since we moved from Japan, everyone at the club and, of course, the supporters have been amazing, and we are enjoying our life in Scotland. Celtic is a special club, so I'm very pleased to extend my stay here. When I signed, I said that my ultimate goal was to win the league, and we have done so twice. Becoming a treble winner last season has been one of the highlights of my career, but we now must prepare for next season. Our aim will remain the same, to work hard together with the manager to bring success to the club and our supporters. Then Brendan Rodgers was talking about him as well, saying Daizen has many qualities that I like in a player. High intensity, attack-minded, and his work rate on and off the ball is exceptional. He has played a key role in the team since he arrived, helping to secure yet another treble for the club. So I'm delighted we've been able to secure a new deal with him. Daizen's attributes make him a really exciting player, and I'm looking forward to working with him. Just off the back of those comments from Daizen and the manager, Brendan Rodgers, it seems like it's a very harmonious squad. Again, talking about next season. Last season's in the past, and this season is now upcoming. Very encouraging words, you would say, Tony?
Funny that, isn't it? You know, that personal happiness. Can't underestimate that, Ryan. He's again, like Kyogo, he's made a home from home, hasn't he, in Glasgow, coming over from Japan. And I always said, see if you speak to Brendan Rodgers and your head's out the door, you will go out the door, because you won't want players like that. But I think once you speak to Brendan Rodgers, your head will be very much in the door. You'll be like, I want to go on the magic carpet ride with him as well, as much as they did with Ange Postecoglou. You know, they have a way about them. Charismatic managers, and clearly one of them. Brendan Rodgers, we all know from his first time. So I think I think everybody senses something really exciting, and they want to be part of it. Ryan, the quotes from Daizen Maeda himself. There's a happy player, and yep, there's attributes that he can improve on and sharpen up on. So, and I think he's also he said he won the league and he's won the league twice. So you get the feeling that there's something else that they've been told. Right, we want to do something else. Go back to it. European football. It's a big thing. Joe Hart was asked a question today. He said they're looking at it the same, but I think European football is a big thing. So I think he's clearly said to the guys, look, not decrying last season's achievement, world record 8th domestic treble for the club. Can you do that again? But can you also do it on this stage as well? I'm going to ask you to replicate it in both arenas. That's the target. Let's go and do it. And Brendan Rodgers talking about Maida, he clearly likes him, doesn't he? And the attributes that he brings. I mean, his work rate is never in question. His speed is never in question. His quickness of thought. Sometimes his feet are actually too quick for the brain, you know what I mean? Because he's just good. But I think if he can really, really tighten up and go down the flank and get crosses in, then what an asset he would have, because a lot of his crosses were wayward, weren't they? Another contributor said his first touch let him down at times as well. I think that too, but I just think because of the way he was thinking about when the ball was coming to him, he was thinking about what he was going to do. You know, just that wee bit of more care when he's in possession. But I mean, you looked at his goal at Ibrox, he having picked up that loose pass from Morelos and then bullied Tavernier out the road and then slotted it away lovely, didn't he? So, you know, he's got that in his locker, and he's also got the one in the locker at Easter Road where he picked up, came inside and curled in a beauty moments after missing an absolute sitter. So
Maida for you. That's Maida for you in a nutshell.
So there's Maida in microcosmic form, right? So see if you can iron out all those kind of, I won't say they're deficiencies, I'll just say the rough edges, and smooth them over and polish them up, as Brendan Rodgers thinks he clearly thinks he can. You've got a diamond of a player there, you know, just because he's got all the attributes to be a really good wide player, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think personally, I don't think Celtic would be able to replace what he brings, especially physically, with his running and his pressing and his aggression. That would cost more to replace than signing him up to a new deal, which is why I think it's a perfect deal. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. You need somebody in Europe that is going to chase lost causes. We've got that in Kyogo, and we've now also got that in Maida. They hunt in packs. Those two run-it players. Brendan Rodgers will love that. He'll love people that are just running at the opposition, trying to make mistakes, trying to get him to make mistakes. He's always high up in his pressing and the pressing statistics.
Yeah.
It's what he does off the ball as well as on the ball that makes him such an effective part of the team.
And I think the problem was that, see the stuff that he did off the ball, the chasing back, the winning the ball back, and all that was a granted. That was taken as a given. And because he was fast and he could track back and he could do that. But it takes skill to do that as well, you know, and ability. So whenever he got the ball, he was getting a raw deal because maybe he didn't make the most of it in really good positions at times. So people would get on his case, forgetting that he's maybe chased a guy back 60 yards and then joining an attack and the ball's been slung out to him, stuff like that. So I think there's a real kind of, there's a real dichotomy about Maida, isn't there? You know, on the one hand, he does this defensive shift and he's great and he's very good at it, but people don't necessarily equate that to being productive and creative. But it's part of his makeup and it's part of his game, and he did it brilliantly. But it went largely unnoticed, didn't it? And then when it came to that forward thinking mentality, sometimes, you know, it wasn't up to speed or it wasn't up to par, and that's when you get, you know, the kind of howls of derision came his way at times. But I just think if you can fuse the two of them together, and Brendan Rodgers clearly thinks he can, I think you're right. Players like that will be invaluable in Europe. You know, wingers or wide men need to put in a shift in Europe, and that's one thing he will give you. But if you can marry that to being a wee bit more clinical in the final third, with both his own shooting at goal and his own creativity in terms of his crossing ability, then I think I think it's a win-win. It's a great deal for the player and it's a great deal for Celtic. And as you say, I think when you weigh these qualities up, they are hard to replace. And Brendan likes a challenge, doesn't he, in making players better. Got a great track record with that. So I'd like to see a better Maida. That'd be some kind of something to look forward to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a consistent Daizen Maeda should send shivers down the spine of every single opposition player. I think as well, a thing that's really underrated about Daizen Maeda is the fact that even if you take him off, Ange Postecoglou done this a number of times, took him off at half time. It never got him down. He never went in a huff or anything like that. He's very much a team player. He's maybe in the shape of his head as well, but he has a good egg in that team. He's just happy to go about his business. It doesn't matter if he gets taken off. He's probably annoyed in his head, but he won't ever let it show. And he wants what's best for the team. Just looking at his stats since he joined the club. He joined the club in, I think it was Hogmanay of 2021. Hogmanay or the day before. It was one of the two, because I remember it was that sort of time frame. He joined alongside Rio Hatate and Yosuke Ideguchi as well, who has since departed the club on loan. In his first spell on loan at the club, he scored 8 goals in 22 total appearances, and then in his first full season, he scored 11 goals in 49 total appearances. You think he is consistently in and around the team. He hardly ever gets injured, but you do think that his goal scoring record could improve. If it does improve, then Celtic are onto a winner here.
And I think that's what the manager has said to him. Commit your future here and be the player that I think you can be. Be as close to the finished article as I think you can be. Improve that goal ratio for me, because everything else is there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Basically, all he has to do is improve his goal ratio and his creativity ratio in the final third, because all the other stuff is there, as I've said, the defensive stuff and all that. And I think he's been taken off after 45 minutes in games because it's just not his kind of game.
Agreed.
And opposition has been set up in a way to prevent him from getting room, and they're not even attack minded, so he can't even do long bursts and runs back and help out the defence if people just camp in. So I think Brendan Rodgers maybe say to him, look, don't worry about stuff like that. I'm going to turn you into this all-rounder where we're not just looking at certain facets of your game saying tick there, cross there. He's going to make him the kind of all-round footballer where he is contributing. Because I think he is the consummate team player. I just love the fact. And also, I think he's happy not being the star of the show. I think he's a quiet assassin, isn't he? For want of a better expression. He's pretty cold and clinical, and he's got ice in the old veins, as they say, hasn't he? So I quite like that about him. He's quite happy to let Hatate and Kyogo get the plaudits and being lauded, but that's not to underestimate the role that he plays or his contribution, because he's made a stellar contribution. And can you turn that 11 goals into 20 goals? I think that's the question that Brendan Rodgers will be asking him, and I think he will now see that as a personal target. Might not share it publicly, but that's the kind of thing I would be saying if I'm Brendan Rodgers. I'd be saying to Maida, can you turn that into 20 goals? Because we need you. We need you to be sharp up there. You're sharp as anything from your own middle to front going back the way. It'll be fine. Not querying that. You can match anybody for speed. You can get a slide tackle and you can take the ball off them. You can distribute it fine. Talking about in the opposition's final third, when you're looking up and crossing a ball in, you're not just hitting it aimlessly, either here, there, or everywhere. You're actually picking somebody out, or when the ball drops to you in the box, you're as clinical as your compatriot there. Take a leaf out of his book, watch his movement, stuff like just things like that. Because a couple of times I've thought Maida's movement inside the box has been, a bit more anticipation. He could have been where the ball wasn't scored. Making those kind of runs like Kyogo. I'm not trying to turn them into a clone of Kyogo, but just a wee bit more anticipation, a wee bit more forward thinking, and going in where it hurts type thing. So I think Brendan Rodgers could turn them into 15, 20 goal a season, man. Just improve those figures. Because the rest of his game, I don't have any qualms about. It's that final third where I'm looking for accuracy with the cross balls, and I'm looking for even deadlier accuracy and chance chance ratio conversing.
Yeah. Do you think it's a sort of way in which Celtic and the board and the people making the decisions, these sort of announcements are not to soften the blow of Jota, but to get the fans maybe back on side, or if they were feeling a bit downhearted by or down by the news that Jota had left. The fact that Celtic have just announced Kyogo and then Daizen Maeda. I think that's a way for them to get them back on side.
I don't think they really needed to get back on side. Jota's move came from left field, didn't it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, if any of the current Celtic players, were offered that Jota part, they're off, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
You can't turn that down. But what I think it is, what Celtic are doing now is the real kind of statement of intent. As I said to you before, and I'll say it again, this manager's not coming in to start a fire sale of all the assets. So tying them down, it's important that you keep this team together. This is a team who, with an enhancement of 2 or 3 quality, and I mean real quality players, could do something. And I think the manager believes that too. So what's the first thing you do? You protect what you've got. You tie them down, make sure they're going nowhere. If others have to follow suit, Hatate O'Reilly, Cameron Carter-Vickers, guys like that, you want to nail them down to longer term contracts. Go and do it. I think Celtic are going all in on Rodgers here, and he's clearly said, right, or they've clearly said to him, okay, here's a couple of bits of business, get it done, get it sorted. Let me speak to these guys, and I think Brendan Rodgers is clearly confident in his own ability to make guys stay and play for him. At this juncture, in this time in Celtic's history, as I've said before, this is a wonderful situation to inherit. Celtic are at arguably one of the finest points in their history, domestically dominant, and they're financially dominant, and it's a real position of strength. And you have a manager like Brendan Rodgers, who is now going to steer the good ship Celtic from that position of strength. So you believe you can only get stronger, can't you? Well, that's what I think. And so I'm pretty confident that others will follow suit. And I don't think the Celtic board are announcing it. I think the timing of the Jota one just, as I say, it came left field. It was all done very quickly. Maybe took them by surprise, and maybe they did think, okay, to soften that blow, we'll announce this. But I'm not so sure that that's kind of came into their thinking. I just think that they wanted to let Jota go because his head was out the door, so get that done as quickly as possible. Focus on the here, the now, the future, and who we have. Jota's gone. Great couple of years. Loved it. Everybody loved it. He's yesterday's man, isn't he? In terms of Celtic. Focused on the today man. And that's Kyogo. That's Daizen Maeda. It's Hatate. It's O'Reilly. Cameron Carter-Vickers. Alistair Johnson. All the rest of the team. You hope that there'll be no more departures. You can't say that for any certainty. But if there are departures, you hope that that's concluded as quickly as possible. Doesn't drag on. And then Celtic can focus on the season ahead and all the challenges that they're going to be met with.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm quite happy as well with the fact that Celtic have decided to announce Daizen Maeda and Kyogo on different days as well, because I know that they've both signed. They've both signed for the same amount of time. They could have easily put the two players together, but I like that they've put them both in different days as well. So just so that the fans can get that sort of adoration for the two. And I mean, remember Postecoglou with the comments that he made not to lump all the Japanese players in the same boat. So I'm delighted that that the club have done that as well, so that they get their own sort of fanfare.
It gives them their moment. Of course it does. They're two individuals, aren't they? They're team players, but they're two individuals. So why not announce it on 2 different days? Because what would have happened if Kyogo and Hatate were announced 4-year deals on the same day? Hatate would have been an afterthought, wouldn't he? It would have been the fact that Kyogo had signed for 4 years. You bet your bottom dollar it would have been Ryan, and that would have got all the focus and the attention, wouldn't it? Maida deserves his attention as well. He deserves to be the subject of a briefing like this, and for all the Celtic supporters to come in and give their thoughts on him. And I think his contribution, like everyone else, cannot be undervalued or underestimated or simply swept aside. He's a consummate team player. He's a cracking player, and I think he's put massive smiles on Celtic supporters' faces since he arrived. He's not as flashy as Kyogo or a main goal scorer as Kyogo, and you'll not see him leading the Celtic fans and the singing at the end. He's a on-seal player, isn't he? He does exactly what it says in the tin, and he's quietly effective and good at it, and long may that continue.
Yeah, I think when you take him out of the squad, you really miss his presence in that Celtic team. Yeah. My final question for you until we finish off this emergency or breaking news podcast: will it be Hatate tomorrow?
Well, you like to think, keeping with the treble theme, Ryan. How good would that be? Yeah,
I know.
Hatate or another, but if it's the Japanese contingent and it's a treble of the Japanese players staying at, I think the Celtic supporters would raise the roof at something like that. Wouldn't put it past Celtic. They're pretty good PR-wise, aren't they? They're doing it well. And that would be to your satisfaction. That would be a fabulous Friday and put you in the right frame of mind for the weekend, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be absolutely ideal. Just before we finish off, if you've enjoyed this broadcast and you want to hear some more from myself, from Aidan, from Tony, you can subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support the top quality football journalism covering the club you love. If you just do www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Thank you very much, Tony, for coming on with me today to talk about Daizen Maeda. It's another good day for the club, getting another one of the assets tied down for another 4 years. Fingers crossed we can have more contract renewals to talk about in the near future. But all that's left for me to say is thank you very much, Tony, for having me.
No problem. Pleasure. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for joining us. Just about 350 people joining us live there, Ryan. So excellent stuff. You all seem to be happy from the comments. Everybody's happy. Hatate tomorrow, Ryan. Is that would that be the ultimate crowd pleaser?
Yeah, in terms of trebles that we've had recently, that would be one of my favourites. That's for sure. I would absolutely love that. I'm not holding out for it at this point in time, but it'd be a very welcome surprise. Yeah, I was surprised about Kyogo. So
over to Celtic, they know what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for all the comments in the comments section, and we will see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.